In 1923, the leaders of York, they recognized that York needed a new modern hotel. There were several hotels in York, but there were also a lot of business travelers.
So the Roaring 20s, the Yorktown is constructed because there's not enough hotel rooms in York. It's expanded in 1929 because they didn't build enough hotel rooms originally. It's expanded again post-World War II in the late 1950s because York is absolutely booming. But as that construction is being finished in the late 1950s, York is seeing its population peak, and then the suburbs come into play, and downtown York begins this slow descent. There's been multiple attempts over the years to bring the downtown back to something that's really vibrant. I kind of witnessed this process of, 2 steps forward, 1 step backward. I don't think we ever took 2 or 3 steps backward, but it never really stuck. And now we're looking at this resurgence of the downtown that every year is taking another step or 2 forward, and it's not really taking any steps backwards. So you're seeing a very vibrant downtown, and all you need to do is go to a First Friday. And now there's hundreds, even thousands of people come into the downtown for a First Friday, and they look around and they eat at the myriad restaurants that are available. They shop at all those cool boutique stores that are not chains, and they say, you know what? I'm coming back tomorrow, and I'm bringing friends.
Yorktown's always been part of the community. It's the place where people went, where people go now. We need to make sure that it stays a part of the historic fabric of the downtown. And right now, with everything that's happening with the Market District and Royal Square, we're kind of at this hinge point of downtown development. First Fridays, there's a crazy amount of traffic that walks by the Yorktown. It really is the heart of what's happening downtown.
She's grown a little tired over the years, and for most of us, our frame of reference with the Yorktowne Hotel is the exterior. But if you were to go into the upper floors of the Yorktown, you'd see that while there are some guest rooms that have been very well maintained, very well appointed, the reality is the room next to it might not have been touched since the 70s or the 80s. And so on the upper floors, there's hotel rooms with collapsed ceilings and peeled wallpaper. So the Yorktown was in need of a pretty significant makeover. So the renovations that are soon to begin are really going to take this tired old community gem and once again return it to its rightful status as the nucleus of downtown York.
Obviously, nobody wants to dramatically change the Yorktown, but buildings need to evolve. Buildings need to be updated. This opened in 1925, and there were completely different codes back then. There's no sprinklers in the building. There's very difficult handicapped access. The electrical wiring is in need of upgrades. We'll see a lot of changes upstairs in the rooms with the addition of a sprinkler system, better air conditioning controls, better plumbing. We want to activate the street. We'd really like to activate the roof. The view up here is spectacular. Nothing rises above the Yorktown, and the view from up here, you can see almost the entire York County. But at the same time, we're finding this balance of maintaining the historic character of it. Our efforts are to reproduce areas that need reproduced and fixed, but to restore everything in there back to its former glory, and to create this sense that we've come to some place that's been here for 100 years and is going to be here for another 100 years. We look at that as heritage conservation. Let's maintain the heritage of the building, tell the story of the building, talk about what the building means to people, but still see it evolve.
What's going to be more visible is what's happening on the exterior. Now, the good news is the facade's being preserved and restored. So the Yorktown that we know and love, that has been towering over York for 90 years, that's going to be there unchanged. However, on the Duke Street side, that 1957 addition has some major structural issues.
One of the most dramatic things you'll see in the Yorktown is actually the elimination of the 1957 addition. Looking at the efficiency of the building, we realize that part of it has to go. We have too much square footage. So by eliminating part of the building, we can create a courtyard drop-off, we can fix a lot of the ADA accessibility issues, will allow us to open up the building to a little bit more natural light. And we think that the interaction that we have with the courthouse and the church behind the hotel will create this almost campus of sorts.
Physically, the Yorktowne's going to be as it always was, but you're going to see these new additions to it. And when you're working with a historic building, which the Yorktowne most definitely is, you don't want to recreate what is already there if you're doing an addition. So you're going to see these modern touches on this historic building, but these touches of the new are York. It's old, but it's new. It's classic and traditional, but it's modern. So this whole resurgence of the downtown is personified by what's happening within the Yorktowne Hotel. When the Yorktowne reopens, it may be smaller physically than it was when it closed, but it's taking giant leaps forward in the type of institution it is becoming, because it is a hotel. It is or will be the nucleus of the community. There will be restaurants and lounges to go to. And it's also going to be a connector. It's a natural progression to go from Continental Square to Royal Square and pass right by the Yorktowne and stop for a drink or to meet some friends or to have a dinner. One of the really exciting things for me about this project is that it is so York focused. And by that I mean the York County Industrial Development Authority is the steward for this building and what it's going to become. And it was very important to the YCIDA to make sure the local community was engaged in the process.
We've hired New Tech Engineering, JDB Engineering. They've partnered with Beatty Harvey Coco out of Baltimore, who has a lot of hotel experience, but our primary contract is with New Tech Design. We've hired Kinsley Construction as our construction manager. We're using abSketches for some renderings. We've hired GF Management as our operating consultant and our eventual manager, who their principal was born and raised in York. So we really want this to be like it was in 1924. This is a York project. Value, the economic impact of the construction dollars alone is going to be phenomenal. Once the hotel opens, of course, we hope to get it staffed up to 50, 60, maybe 100 people that will work here. And those people will, again, spend their money in York. Every single one of us are responsible for promoting York. We need to have a good place to do that, and the Yorktowne is that place.